In today's video, we have here these 20 questions to answer on the topic biology of heredity. So this video will be about probability in genetics. So ensure to stay till the end of this video. Here we are going to start with the first question. It says, two tall plants were crossed and all the F1 plants were tall. When the F1 plants were selved, some of the F2 plants were tall while others were short. What are the possible genotypes of the original plants? We have A, homozygous tall and heterozygous tall. That's capital T, capital T, capital T, small t. Then B, we have capital T, small t, that's heterozygous tall, and then small t, that's homozygous short. Then we have C, capital T, and then capital T, capital T. Then D, small t, and small t. So guys, the answer to this question will be option A, because when you cross the plants here in option A, you're going to get all plants to be phenotypically tall, but then some of the plants will still be heterozygous. And then if you cross the F1 generation again, when you self them, you get that some of the plants will now become short due to the fact that some of the heterozygous tall plants will, when they cross with the other heterozygous tall plants, they will eventually yield a homozygous dwarf or short plants. So that's it for that question. Let's go ahead and check out the next question here. Question number 2, it says, a man's blood group is AB. What is the probability of the man giving birth to a child with blood group O? We have A, 100%, B, 50%, C, 25%, D, 0%. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's 0%. The probability of a man with blood group AB giving birth to a child with blood group O is 0%, because it's not possible for AB to give birth to an O, since the man has A and B, which are co-dominant in his blood group, and there is no O in any way, whether recessive or dominant. So it's not possible for that to occur. So the probability is 0%. Let's go ahead and check out the next question, guys. Question number 3 here, it says, in a plant of genotype TT, that's heterozygous tall, what is the probability that a gamete will contain gene T, that's the dwarf allele? So we have A, 1/8, B, 1/2, C, 3/4, D, 1/6. So guys, obviously the answer to this question is 1/2. Since this plant is heterozygous tall, it has both capital T and the small t. So it's either it donates the capital T, that's the T for tallness, or the T for dwarf. So it's the probability that a gamete will contain the T for dwarf is 1/2. That's the answer to this question. So let's consider the next question. Question number 4 here, it says, what is the probability of a man of blood group AB married to a woman of blood group O producing a child of blood group O? We have A 0%, B 50%, C 25%, and D 75%. So guys, the answer to this question is option A. A man with blood group AB cannot produce a child with blood group O, no matter what the genotype of the woman is, because definitely the man will donate one out of the A and the B. So the genotype of the child can be A, that's like AO. It can also be B, that's like BO, but it cannot be O because O means it's OO, so it's not possible. So the probability is 0%. So let's consider the next question. Question number 5 here. It says a sick baby was successfully transfused with blood from the father who has blood group AB. What is the group of the sick baby? We have A is B, B is AB, C is O, and D is A. So guys, the answer to this question is obviously B, because for the father having blood group AB to donate blood to the baby, it means the baby obviously has blood group AB, because AB cannot donate blood to other groups except AB. So for the father having blood group AB to have been able to donate blood to the baby, obviously the baby is having the blood group AB. So guys, let's check out the next question here. Question number 6 here. It says a man with blood group IA is married to a woman with blood group IAIO. The blood group of their son is likely to be option A is AB, B is O, C is A, and D is B. So guys, the blood group of their son will likely be an A, since the man is AA and the woman is AO. So they are likely to produce an offspring with A, which is AA or AO. So that's it for that question. Let's consider the next question. Question number 7 here. It says two plants with red flowers were backcrossed. Which of the following results indicates that the plants were heterozygous red flowers, where red flowers are dominant? A 50% red and 50% white, B 100% red, C 100% white, D 75% red and 25% white. So guys, the answer to this question is option D here. And that's because for a dominant gene, if you cross two heterozygotes, you actually have them yielding a ratio of 3:1, which is 75% to 25% if you convert it to percentage. So you will have 3 expressing the dominant character, where 1 is expressing the recessive character. So that's it for the heterozygous crossing. And take note that this statement is based on phenotypical ratio and not genotypically considering them. So that's it for this question, and let's actually check out the next question here. Question number 8. It says when Mendel crossed round seeds with wrinkled seeds of pea plant, what was the ratio of wrinkled seeds to round seeds in F2 generation? So guys, we have here option A 1:2, option B 3:1, option C 1:3, option D 2:1. So guys, The answer to this question is option C, and that's 1:3. So take note that the question says, what was the ratio of wrinkled seeds to round seeds in F2 generation? So guys, round seeds were actually dominant in that case. So while wrinkled seeds were the recessive ones. So with that, in the F2 generation, they are going to have 3 for the round seeds and 1 for the wrinkled seeds. So the ratio for wrinkled seeds to round seeds is 1:3. So that's it for that question. Consider the next question. Question number 10 here. It says, in the hybrid inheritance, Mendel considered A, 2 pairs of contrasting characters, B, a pair of contrasting characters, C, 4 pairs of contrasting characters, D, 3 pairs of contrasting characters. So guys, the answer to this question is option A. In the hybrid inheritance, Mendel actually considered 2 pairs of contrasting characters. And that's it for that question. Let's consider the next question. Question number 11. It says, a cross between 2 parents produced offspring with blood group AB, BB, BO, and AO. What is the blood group of their parents? We have options A, AB and BO, B, AB and AO, B, BB and AO, and then C, AA and BO. So guys, obviously the answer to this question is option A here, and that's AB and BO. So if you make a cross between AB and BO, you're going to have A crosses with B, you have AB, A to O, you have AO, then B crosses to B, you have BB, then B to O, you have BO. So that's it for that question. You have it representing these 4 subjects here. So that's it. Let's consider the next question. Question number 12 says, use the following information to answer this question. In an experiment, a red flowered plant was crossed with another white flowered plant, and the following results were obtained: 448 red flowers and 154 white flowers in the F1 generation. Which of the following represents the genotype of the parents if R, that's dominant R, is for red gene, and R, that's recessive R, is for white gene? So guys, one thing we need to consider is the ratio. If you check out this, you will notice that the ratio between the red flowers here and the white flowers produced is 3:1, because when you divide 448 by 154, you're going to have 2.9, which is approximately 3. So it means that the ratio between the 448 red flowers and 154 white flowers is actually 3:1. So with that, the only possible combination here that will yield phenotypically the plants in their ratio 3:1 is option C, and that's heterozygous R crossed with heterozygous R. So that's it for that question, guys. Let's go ahead and consider the next question. Question number 13. It says, what would be the phenotypic ratio of the offspring of a cross between a heterozygous dominant parent and a double recessive parent? Okay, we have option A 3:1, option B 1:1, option C 2:1, option D 1:2:1. So guys, considering this question here, the question actually says, what will be the phenotypic ratio of the offspring of a cross between a heterozygous dominant plant and a double recessive parent? So the heterozygous dominant plant is obviously going to have a heterozygous gamete, and then the double recessive is going to be homozygous, right, for the recessive traits. So guys, if you make a cross between these two, you're going to definitely have the ratio 1:1 phenotypically. Let's say we have H, let's say we have this to be H, and we have heterozygous H and homozygous recessive H. We're going to have capital H linking with small h on the other hand. Then we also have capital H linking with the other small h, and that's a two heterozygous h. Then the next small h linking with the first small h, that's a homozygous recessive h. And then the small h linking with the second h again, and that's the homozygous recessive h. So we'll definitely have the ratio 1:1, and that's it for that question. Let's go ahead and consider the next question. What is the genotypic ratio when two heterozygous red pea plants are crossed? We have 1:2:1, 2:1, 1:0, 3:1. So guys, the answer to this question is 1:2:1. So when you make a cross for these plants, you obviously see this, that it is 1:2:1. So if it was phenotypically, we are going to have 3:1, but guys, this is genotypic ratio, so we are going to have 1:2:1, where we have one homozygous dominant, then two heterozygous dominant, and then one homozygous recessive. And that's it for that question. So each time you cross two heterozygous characters, you're going to always have their genotypic ratio to be 1:2:1 and their phenotypic ratio to be 3:1. That's dominant against recessive. So always take note of this, and you don't need to always make crossings all the times. So this is just a simple way you can always use. So when you always recall this, you don't need to go ahead and cross again each time you're answering a question on this. So let's go ahead and consider the next question. Question number 15. It says, two yellow flowered hybrid plants, each carrying a recessive factor for flowers with green color, were crossed. Which of the following ratios shows the correct proportion of offspring that have green flowers? So guys, obviously, all right, let's look at the options. 2 in 2, 1 in 3, 1 in 5, 1 in 4. So guys, obviously the answer to this question is option D, and that's 1 in 4, because their phenotypic ratio will definitely be 3:1. So since we said here these plants are actually yellow colored with green recessive, so if they are green recessive, the phenotypic ratio will be 3 yellow colored to 1 green colored. So in that case, it means that in every 4 you will always have 1 green colored plant. That's their probability anyway. So in that case, 1 in 4 is the answer to this question, and that's it for that question. So we have question number 16 here, guys. It says, a man heterozygous for albino gene marries a woman who is also heterozygous for the gene, both have normal skin color, the probability that they will have an albino child is A 1/4, B 1/3, C 4/4, and D 2/4. So guys, the answer to this question is 1/4. So remember that the phenotypic ratio is going to be 3:1 for where the dominant gene takes 3. Where the dominant gene takes 3 and then the recessive gene takes 1. So now we are considering the recessive, and that's the albino or the albinism. So in this case, that will be 1 out of the 4. So that's it for that question, 1/4, and option A is the answer. So let's consider the next question, question number 17. Here it says the cross between RRTT, and that's like heterozygous, and RRTT, that's homozygous recessive, where R is a gene for red color and then T for tallness, will result in A, all the offspring being tall with red fruits, B, 50% tall with red fruits, C, 75% tall with red fruits, D, 25% tall with red fruits. So guys, the answer to this question will be 25% tall with red fruits. So when you analyze these, crossing the hybrid genes using the Punnett square method, it's just the easiest way to go about this, and then you have the probability here that 25% of the plants will be tall and red colored. So that's it for that question, guys. Let's consider the next question, question number 18. It says the genotypic ratio of 1:2:1 in the offspring of a hybrid cross illustrates the law of A, linkage, B, segregation, C, use and disuse, D, dominance. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's segregation. And that's the Mendel's law, and the law states that during the formation of reproductive cells, that's gametes, pairs of hereditary traits for a specific trait separate so that offspring receive one factor from each parent. So that's it for that question. Let's consider the next question, question number 19. It says in a case of complete dominance, what is the phenotypic ratio of the cross heterozygous B and heterozygous B? That's dominant heterozygous B. So we have A, 1 black, 2 blues, 1 white, B, 3 blacks, 1 white, C, 1 black, 1 gray, 2 whites, D, 1 black, 3 whites. So guys, considering that the dominant B is for black and the recessive B is for white, remember that these are two heterozygous genes, so definitely they will be in the ratio 3:1, where 3 goes for the dominant character and then 1 goes for the recessive. So the correct answer to this question will be option B, 3 blacks and 1 white. So let's consider the next and the last question here, guys, and that's question number 20. It says in a cross involving a heterozygous red flowered plant and a white flowered plant, what is the probability that the offspring will be heterozygous R? So we have A, 1/4, B, 1/2, C, 1, D, 3/4. So guys, again, you have to also always consider and remember that when you cross a heterozygous plant with a homozygous recessive plant, you always have the results in the ratio 1:1, that you always have the phenotypic ratio 1:1. Actually, it's 2:2, which results to 1:1. So with this, you know that the ratio is going to be 1:1, and then since it's 1:1, you know that out of every two we have one heterozygous R, and that's it for that question. 1/2 is the answer, and that's option B. And this is where we end this video for today. So guys, if you enjoyed this lesson, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not a subscriber. Also, if you have any specific question regarding this video, you can drop your question on the comment section below, and we'll ensure to give you a response. So we also want to encourage you to join our YouTube channel community by hitting the join button below, and we'll see you right there. So thank you once again for watching this video, and see you on the next one.